Всем доброе утро. Еще раз через пару минут начнем. Так, у нас уже идет запись и демонстрация в эфире в Ютубе. Если можно, Авилаш, пожалуйста, сделайте на весь экран свою презентацию, чтобы была не частично. Так, у нас люди подключаются еще к Zoom. Ну и время 11:01. Спасибо большое за подключение. Сегодня у нас 30 апреля 2024 года. Я Анара Ибраева, директор общественного объединения «Кадр-Кассиет». У нас есть, значит, с вами возможность слушать перевод с русского на английский, с английского на русский язык. Что еще? Значит, сегодня у нас гость, и тема такая достаточно интересная, она необычная с той точки зрения, что для нашей организации, потому что мы в целом не занимаемся правом на здоровую окружающую среду. У нас 5 направлений деятельности, и это не наша тема, но видя, насколько актуальны вопросы право на здоровую окружающую среду, мы попросили нашего друга, коллегу, он из Индии, доктор Авилаш Роул, рассказать и поделиться сегодня своим взглядом на ту ситуацию, которая имеется в Казахстане с соблюдением данного права, также рассказать о сути данного права, потому что, как вы понимаете, право на здоровую окружающую среду – это то право, наверное, кроссовое, от которого зависит и право на жизнь, и все другие 50 прав человека. Значит, еще раз скажу, чтобы все услышали, у нас ведется лайвстрим в наш канал в YouTube, это Dignity 5351. Пожалуйста, делитесь этой ссылочкой, я продублирую еще раз в чат. И много не буду говорить, потому что, значит, время ограничено. У нас всего будет сегодня с вами 2 часа. Мы запишем русский язык, перевод на русский язык, и потом тоже выложим запись на наш канал в Ютубе, чтобы на русском языке эта лекция была доступна и была публична. Сегодняшняя лекция, она публичная. Можете в эфире задавать вопросы. Пожалуйста, и Авилаш, я думаю, с радостью ответит. Что еще, значит, это то, что сегодняшний наш эксперт, он работает совершенно бесплатно. У нас нет никакого проекта, поэтому прошу тоже это иметь в виду. И нам помогать с переводом Ярослав Штырбу. Пожалуйста, проверьте, чтобы у вас перевод был доступен. В нижней панели есть глобусик, на него нужно нажать, выбрать соответствующий или английский язык. Ну и, пожалуйста, будьте активными, поддержите, задавайте вопросы, участвуйте в дискуссиях. Порядок какой будет, либо доктор Авилаш Роул скажет, что возможно задавать вопрос по ходу лекции, или же выделить для этого время в конце лекции. Он сам сообщит. И, пожалуйста, я передаю слово, Авилаш, вам. Так, Авилаш, вас не слышно. Мгм.
So I can speak now?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Anara, and good morning to all of you. I'm Avilash. I'm from India, and I just completing my travel all across the Central Asian countries related to climate change and some water problems. So I found time, and as Anara is a good friend, so she invited to have a discussion on very wonderful topic and very wonderful issues, which is very close to all of us in Central Asia, in India, in everywhere. So what are the right to a clean and healthy and sustainable environment, what we have? So I will be briefly discussing some of the issues, some of the overview, and also sharing some experiences, and open to any questions. So you can stop me, you can ask me. I will try to respond as much as I know in my experience. I will explain to that.
Ну, тогда я первая, кто вас прервет. Пожалуйста, сделайте свой экран, расширьте, чтобы было понятно, что вот один общий слайд идет и ваше изображение. Так будет красивее картинка на YouTube. Вот где ревью, нужно сделать с самого начала расширенный слайд.
Just a question, Anara, is it a simultaneous translation, right?
Да, идет перевод.
Okay, so I'm just guessing because I'm sorry, I don't know neither Russian or Kazakh, so I'm guessing it, but it's all right. So let me let me bring you just a news. Maybe everyone we have read, we have seen so many of disasters happening all across the world. And in April first week, Kazakhstan had floods and all. So why, when I'm saying this, the floods are happening, there is a drought in last year, there is a mudslide, there is, the glacier lake outburst floods in the Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. So all those issues are happening. There are some rivers are drying up, and suddenly there is no water. Suddenly there is a lot of waters are coming up. So all those are very unexpected, unusual, but the reason behind all those are happening are we. the humankind. So the anthropogenic experiences, the anthropogenic pressures, the anthropogenic use, like the vehicular pollution, the land use changes, and the emissions we are producing. So as a humankind's control over the natural surroundings, which we call the environment, has ultimately very adverse impacts. So this we have been knowing from the time immemorial, from the man and nature interactions, the man, the society, and the nature's interaction. We have been observing that the man without nature, the humankind without nature, cannot survive. So we need water, we need air to breathe, we need crops and the foods to eat. So we need clothes, which is coming from also the natural resources. So most of overall, the nature is like a mother's womb. So when we are kid, we are, in the formation stage, we are like a baby inside the mother's womb. So the nature is our mother. So everybody will be agree on that. So now the question is, if a man depends on solely on the natural resources, the nature which provides various kind of, I won't say services, because mother don't give services. Mother protects us. Mother gives us life. So that is what the nature is. So I'm not using the environmental services, ecosystem services, which is mostly everybody using, but I'm not negative to that use. But this is what we want to see. So if a man or a humankind depends on mother for their survival, when they are, is there a question? No. So if mother can protect, mother can provide food, milk, everything, so nature is providing the same. Now the question is it a human right? Of course. Is it a very important right? Of course, yes. But for the last 50 years, it has not been formulated in the way that we can see that environmental rights, right to environment, right to clean environment, right to sustainable environment is one of the human rights. But we understood, the whole world understands that this is very important. So on those aspects, I think we will be discussing, or my presentations will be mostly discussion on that aspect. So let me the second. The slides are here. So if you see, there are some of the pictures which mostly are collected from in the public sources. If you see, there are, I try to showcase where the humans are interacting with the degradation of the nature or degradation of the environment. So you can see here, so on my top left is the emissions, which is from the fossil fuel, which is, climate change, the greenhouse gases, which contributing to the climate change. And here is a river which is being polluted. And on my right top, so this is from Philippines, and these two buckets are full of fish. The fish human eat the fish, and this is the dumping yard. You can see the plastics and all those stuffs are there. This is a river which is being polluted, non-treated. The waste are being dumped in the river. So here the school kids are, you can see this is from India, and India is during October, November, December is highly polluted, the city, because of various reasons, including the vehicular pollutions in Delhi. So most people don't visit now Delhi in November, December because of this highly polluted the atmosphere. And here on the right, you can see the forest is being degraded, nuclear waste is being dumped, and most of the world which using large scale agriculture, so they are using pesticides, they are using the chemicals. So that's what I have tried to show in the picture. And here you can see the young kids are playing along the landfills, along the water bodies. And this is our situation right now. Can you say that, or can we argue that this is kind of humankind needs to survive? This is what the surrounding, this is what the nature is, human prospers. So these people who are standing there in the picture, I collected from the Google mostly, except one or two, which is mine. So you can see this is the world, this is our surrounding, this is our ecosphere. I use mostly ecosphere because it's not only the physical surrounding, but air, water, even the below the water and above the land. So all these things are including, it's called ecosphere. That's a conceptual debate can be done later on. So this is, we have the world right now. So let's see the second world. This is all my pictures. This is these are all from last 15 days picture. So one is from Biscay, the Central Park. One is from Dushanbe, and one is Sirdaria River. One is I think this is Jarafshan River, and one is Chu Talas River. So this is how we look into the world should be, the nature should be. We have a lot of trees, lot of greeneries, clean water, fresh water, no pollution in the river. So these are called healthy environment. So the environment which is not being polluted by external forces or by anthropogenic, by us, by humankind. So these two worlds we are now. So we are looking at a better world, which just now I am showing the pictures. Like Sirdaria River, there are certain part industrial pollution, but in overall, I will say the Amdaria, Sirdaria River, looking at the very historical and majestic, magnificent river system, so that we need a clean, unpolluted, non-interference by the external factors. We need those water because the water is elixir of life. Water saves life. Without water, you or me can sustain only 3 days. After 3 days, we'll die. In our blood, 55% in our blood is water. So water is very interesting to our life. But if water is being polluted, who will guarantee us, like the people or the humankind, all the citizens, who will guarantee us that I am protecting? You are protected from any illness. Who will guarantee that one? So in overall situation, we need a clean water, we need clean air, we need clean soil. Clean soil means the earth, which is not being heavily used pesticides. So all those things we need for our betterment. And humans' betterment is very important for both the state and the individuals. So this is how our modern state has been formed, to protect individuals, to provide safety to individuals, to protect, provide, and also to enhance the better of the well-being of the people in modern states. So these are now two drastic scenarios we have. Earlier pictures, we have seen that people are there. People, as you see in the pictures, people are there. People are in anywhere in the world you visit, like most of the Asian countries, the landfills where all the urban waste, solid waste has been dumped there. So if you can visit what are the distance between the latest or the settlements are there? Very close. So those settlements where people are residing, if they got into any diseases, who will be responsible for that? One. Second, if there is a river and the civilization come with the cradle of civilization, I mean, we called it that because most of the people, maybe not the nomadic mountain people, but most of the people, the settlements initiated, established along the rivers. So now we think about most of the rivers, like I think I'm in Astana now, it's very chill. So yesterday I just walk around the river. So there are people are there. So if the river will be polluted, all Asian countries, African countries, and Latin American countries. And those effect will be affecting the people means living beings, cattle, and everything who are depending on the river water. If they fall ill, who will be responsible? So it is not about I am trying to oppose or blame someone, but we are trying to find out whose responsibility, whose accountability, who is responsible for providing us as a human or as a citizen as a clean, safe, sustainable, life system. So this is we agreed that state will provide, there are agencies who will provide. We as a community, as an individual, we also help and provide those aspects. So that where comes the human rights. If there is a there is if there is a violation of providing, of there is non-sufficient provisions are providing to reach to your or fulfill to your well-being as a human being, then it is the violation of human rights. So let's see. So if you see, I mean, I just briefly discuss about this, and probably in my top right corner there is it's a Hollywood movie. It's called The Day After Tomorrow. It was around 2001 or 2004, 2002 probably. That was the first depiction of how the climate change has affecting the most powerful nation, one of the most powerful nations, the United States of America. So that's the movie. I just pointed out just to attract the attention The Day After Tomorrow. So what is now happening? We see in the first slide the pictures. So the earth is not very well. So our mom, I mean our mother earth, we called as Indian, the earth is mother, and probably most of the people will be agreeing on my understanding. So the earth is not very well. In a sense, you will see, I'm not going to repeat that one, that Amazon forest is decreasing, Aral Sea gone, Aral Sea, I mean it's all dried up, and there are many rivers are not flowing usually. That when we are kids or the young people, maybe those who are attending maybe or may not be there aware of, but the people who 20-30 years of experience, they can see where the water is flowing, water was flowing very smoothly, is no water there, and we have loss of biodiversity, species are gone, animals are gone extinct, like dodo. So dodo was 16th century, but after that thousands and maybe 11,000s in our eyes already gone. So we don't know whether how many species are there or not. So loss of biodiversities are the the land use pattern changing in the urban areas. So in a romantic philosophical thinking, we always love, the mountain, the stream, the birds, the rural, the countryside. So there is none now. because the urbanization or the land use changes has been so aggressively moving forward that we are imbalancing, we are making imbalance with the delicate understanding of the nature and human interaction, society interaction. We have a very remember or memorable pandemic which happened 2019 to 2023. Still some of the impacts are going on here, and we have war and conflicts. So having all those multitude of problems which the earth is facing, and many countries, the world has been agreed upon so many conferences, so many discussions, so many negotiations, regional agreements, constitutional changes, new laws. Earth is going to be more and more problematic. So having all those instruments, having all those tools, laws, regulations, agreements, cooperations, self indulgence, because I don't want to be wasting water, I don't want to be wasting electricity. All those are personal contribution, communal contribution, and global contribution. Still, Earth is facing huge problems. Climate change, water scarcity, loss of biodiversity, the huge pollution, pandemic, 100 years of pandemic, but there are localized diseases, zoonotic diseases are emerging, and war and conflict, which is in the neighborhood, is continuing. So is the world, or has the world has developed its human index? It has increased the human index, development index level? No. So having all those funds, having all those policies, having all those efforts, let's say very good efforts from the countries, from the group of countries, from the communities, from individuals, but the world is declining on the human development index. The poverty and the inequality is being enlarged. So we are trying to reduce the inequalities, but the inequalities is increasing, not only as an income generation, but also receiving the exact amount of clean environment. So you can see, if I'm a rich guy, I will have my own private oxygen. So I think I have seen in Delhi also, or in some of the places where you pay, you go there and you have a 20 minutes, 10 minutes fresh oxygen. So now oxygen is being now priced. Water has been already priced. So if I'm a rich person, I will have the capacity, I will have the, I would say, audacity to get what I want from a clean environment and health. What about the common citizen? Can he afford? Can she afford to provide a clean environment? With having all those multiple crises, multiple problems, can we get what we want for survival? I'm not talking about luxury survival. I'm just talking about survival. So we have a right to life with a dignity and with development of our personal capacity. So there should not be any structural barriers. But these environmental crises are a sort of structural barriers where I or other community members are not reaching out to my full capacity. So that is where the large amount of my rights are being violated. So we'll come to that one, but I'm just providing the teaser that if the pollution is happening, let's say, let me give you a quick example, because climate change is there. So climate change, as I have shown here, that one picture is what is the cause, I mean, why the climate change is happening, and in the middle is what are the effects there, I mean, what are the cause and effect, and in the right side these are few pictures of mine, and few pictures are from this region, Central Asian region. So you have drought, you have flood, you have, floods you have in the April, and yeah, urban flooding and all those things. So now my question is, it's an example, hypothetical example. We are thinking that climate change is happening. Yeah, we are discussing. Don't worry, and we will address these things. But this is, the science has not been able to rightly predicted what we are going to see. So climate change it's a crisis, and it is a defining crisis. It's a crisis. It is there, and it is happening faster than we predict and we assume we modeled. So science modeling is also failing to really predict what is going to happen. It is purely an uncertainty. Having that, no one is immune to the climate change impact. Developed countries, developing countries, or I don't use third world countries, sorry. The small island countries, the landlocked countries, like here, all the 5 countries are landlocked countries. Everyone is facing the problem. The question here is, if hypothetical, if there is a flood and many of the northern Kazakh people being relocated or taken into the safe protective zone, and I was going to school, for an example, my exams are in 3-4 days. Due to the flood, I cannot attend my exams. All my papers, all my certificates, all my notebooks are gone. I mean, like it was in the flood water, it's gone. It happened to in India, but I'm just giving an hypothetical. So here, I could not appropriately attend the school. I could not appropriately write the exam, and I may be stopped for 1 year. It was not a loss 1 year for me. So who will compensate that 1 year? And is it my cause which is being flood? No. The climate change is a global problem, and it's a globally happen. So this climate change has provided or elaborated the human rights concept into a very important and a different levels that we will discuss later on. So this is one is climate change. It is not about a flood. It is about a drought. It is about let's give you an example, because it's happened more
Так,
often
можно,
in.
извините, здесь есть вопрос в чате. Ваше мнение, какова участь высохшего Аральского моря? Ожидает ли эту участь Каспийское море? Вопрос задан Мусагали Дауловым. Это гражданский активист, правозащитник из западного Казахстана, город Актобе. Мусагали сам инвалид по зрению, он незрячий. Ну вот он интересуется разными такими вопросами и сам является тоже экспертом, чтобы было понятно, да, кто задает вопрос.
Was that a question?
Avilash, can you put the button on the low, on the down?
Sorry, come again.
So you have to change the translation. You have to use in translation.
So where? So in the message which is being in the chat, so I have to respond that one.
Yes.
Or why not I just finish and then I can respond to
Because
those
you
messages.
said the people can ask you in
Okay.
different time.
Okay. that's okay. But it's all Russian. How I will change this one? It is getting a bit difficult here.
No, it's not difficult.
Because I am not getting how to.
Question about Caspian Sea. Will it be like Aral Sea in Kazakhstan?
Okay. Thank you. So I may not be the proper one by saying this one, but if the Caspian Sea definitely has an impact. I mean, climate has an impact, and so far I have not seen the model which I just mentioned. That modeling is also very conservative. I have not seen on the Caspian Sea, but I can tell you that the Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan glaciers are being melting faster than expected, and 0.5% per year they are being receding. So in that sense, all the countries, 5 countries who are depending on the glacier rivers, Amudarya, Sirdarya, Jarabsans, and all those rivers, will have definitely a bigger problem. Okay, so we'll discuss that more. We have a lot of time, so let me just walk you through all those presentations. Then I'll come back to you. Thank you very much for question, and please have all your questions, and I will try to respond. So continuing on the climate change one threshold, and the second is the pollution, and this is what the data from the WHO you can consider, and there is also the Central Asia related data, which is very disturbing. More than 90 babies die every week in Europe and Central Asia due to air pollution. This is a UNICEF report. And overall in the world, 8.3 million people die every year. And mostly 1.7 million children dies every year due to pollution. And you can see, so I put this India pollution data. So 2.1 million deaths per year for all sorts of pollution in India. It is second to China. Now the question here is, what is the right of a baby, or what is the right of a children? So children, before they are getting to the school, they are getting into the adulthood, they are getting into the full life. So full life is also a right, a right of an individual, which is a human right. So before that, they are not here. So who is responsible? Pollutions are responsible. So who are creating those pollutions? So they are the responsible persons. Can we make them accountable? It depends on our system, our law, our constitution, our judiciary, our police system. All agencies come later on. But to finding that a child or a children or a young man is not fulfilling his ability to live in a full life is a problem. It's a violation of right. It's a, if in a legal term, if it is not a violation, then it is a block, it is a barrier to fulfill my own well-being. So as a citizen, as a kid, so this is the problem. And if you see from 1972 till now, which is more than 50 years, government, countries, United Nations, they cannot successfully control the pollution in a level where this will be less harmful to the survival of not only humankind, but the living beings. You have seen many, Minamata case with the mercury pollution in Japan, the fish, the gone, and the human who, I mean, the kids and children, those who ate those fish in Japanese coast, they fall into sickness, they died, and all those happened. So healthy environment, healthy food, healthy shelter, all those are very basic requirement of human fulfilling all those rights. The second is, third, I'm just providing very important aspects which we are interacting, like the society is interacting with all those aspects. loss of biodiversity. When we are talking about loss of biodiversity, it's not about, the Sher Khan or Bagheera. It's in the Jungle Book stories. The Sher Khan died. But here is this leopard, the snow leopard. And I have seen some picture. This is from Thailand market, which is a very secret market, where the live animals were being sold as, illegal trafficking of living beings. So the question here is, we don't know much about what is under sea. We don't know much about what is in the mountains, because in the Himalayan mountain, as I know, only 5% of the biodiversity has been recorded. 95% been unaware to the scientist. So across the world, millions of species we don't know. Every day we are observing or we are reading newspaper, there is a new species, there is a new species, there is a new frog, there is a new insect. So the science is continue to understand the biodiversity. Before, it's like a dodo. Before that, mostly the animals were gone. Even we don't know, because what we recorded, then we didn't see, then we say that, oh, this animal extinct. So most of the endangered species are in the brink of extinction. There is a large scale reduction of the forest land. You can see that 420 million hectares of forest have been lost. There's so many countries can be for 420 million hectare of land mass. It's already lost. And mostly 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than the natural extinction rate has been happening because of us. We are the culprit of the loss of biodiversity. Natural process, the survival for the fittest theory, some accommodate, some cannot accommodate, and one, it's a natural selection process. But due to the climate change, which is caused by human, and also the human direct impact has been losing most of the biodiversity. Earth has lost half of its wildlife in the last 40 years, 1972 to 2012 or 2014. This is a IUCN and WWF report. So this is what happening. And someone can ask me, okay, tigre is gone, so what's the problem? If elephant is gone, it's okay because, elephant and all. No, whether it's a big or a very small, like the bees, honey bees, they are very important ingredients or elements of the ecosystems where, or I say ecosphere, where we are just a small part. We don't know what is our contribution, but we know our contribution is dismantling the best wave, delicate balance of the wave of ecosystems. That's us. We are introducing new species. We are introducing new alien species, invasive species to our garden, to our agriculture, because we want to produce more and more by whatever we are bringing in the market, and then we are putting it. So we don't know what is the impact. The impact is our indigenous, means our local own, maybe I would say specific, the geographical specific crops, plants, trees are not surviving with the aggressive nature of the invasive species, and that we are also responsible. So having this crisis, and we are I'm just trying to go yeah. So the world understands, the countries understand, we also understand. So these are the problems. For the last 50 to 60 years, I mean, I consider 50 years because of the first environment conference happened in 1972, we are not able to successfully addressing those issues. So the United Nations, as you know, the United Nations General Assembly, whereas I think all of you know about the United Nations. It was the post-war arrangement, and most of the countries are member. I would say not all the members are countries, and 193 members, probably 194, 95 members are member of the United Nations. United Nations has a General Assembly where each member is equal. Each member has a participation, but their decisions are not enforceable. That means it's not legally binding to the members. But whereas the Security Council has a legally binding consideration. So having watching or having observing that whatever the efforts we are trying to put together, the countries, it is not very successful in addressing those multiple crises. So what we should do? So the General Assembly try to find new instruments, try to find new tools to address all those multiple crises. So by having a resolution in 2022, which is very historic, landmark, and the global understanding of the environmental problem has been prominent in the highest political agenda by recognizing in a resolution that right to clean, healthy, sustainable environment as a human right. This is historic. I mean, this is a bold, this is many experts, many UN officials, many the environmental campaigner, environmental activist. So they have mentioned that this is going to be a turning point of humanity. When in 1972, when we had the first environmental conference in Stockholm, so that was, maybe that was not so successful, but that was one way, that was one way of looking at that it's an humankind's the best intervention. So this is going to be a breakthrough to the humanity. And this is going to be how the human has been since time immemorial interacting with the nature, interacting with the planet. So this is a direct link between the people and planet. We have been talking about people, planet, green planet. This is our house. So this needs to be directly connected now onwards. And also, this is going to be a transformation on the ground level. I will explain to that one. And more or less in our discussion, today's open discussion, it is very helpful or encouragement to the environmental defenders, those who are dedicated their life to defend a healthy environment, to defend a clean environment, to defend a sustainable environment, not for herself or himself, but for the future generation. And when we are talking about future generation, it is not about the one generation. We are talking about the human generations to the future. So this is going to be one of the breakthrough moment in next one decade. This will start. This is already started. This resolution. So what will be the question? Will be okay. It's a UN General Assembly resolution which doesn't have any enforceable activities, which doesn't have, even if 161 countries approved and no one going against. So that means inherently all the UN General Assembly member countries are agreed that this is obvious, this is natural, this is a fact. So we don't make politicize it now. So that is why no one opposed. But there are there are countries who abstained. They didn't get vote. So one of the member is Kyrgyzstan. So it was abstained. I don't know why, but by abstaining, Kyrgyzstan doesn't matter because Kyrgyzstan constitution has a provision of right to healthy environment. So whether it votes here or not, it's okay. So this is what. And the next step will be more and more constitutions, individual country constitutions will accept, will insert, will enshrine, will document this aspect in a formal way. One. The second is there are regional agreements, there are regional institutions. They may accept this as a basic source, as a maybe preamble document, or maybe as a guiding force into their charter. So they may include that one. And so many laws, so many acts, and so many declarations can be motivated from this resolution, and which has immediately effect. And I will share with you, few examples. So the best part is now that there is a resolution. That means there is an understanding, there is an acceptance, there is a recognition of that a right to clean, healthy, sustainable environment as a human right. So whoever violating this important and I would say inalienable right, which you cannot take away from me, take away from any citizens, this right we can try to protect as a common citizen, as a community member, as a defenders of the environment. We will try, we will encourage, we will enforce ourselves with like-minded people to implement or to find out that our natural environment should not be violated, should not be destroyed. So this is very important rights come through in the looking at the human rights. So the question here is, was it a sudden, because of looking at the crisis, multiple crises, this happened? No. So in the first place, when we have 1948, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, so no one was considering that aspect, that environmental rights are very important. But if somebody is going to interpret right to life, for example, a right to life, right to development of myself, or right to well-being, so where did it come from? Definitely it is the surrounding. Definitely I will have a proper education system if I am not going to be affected by disasters every now and then, different types of disasters, different types of heat wave. Now after 12 years, I am now in Central Asia, but I can see so many air conditions in the floods. But 12 years before, I have not seen, I didn't see many air condition from Almaty to Taraz, from Tashkent to Bishkek to Dushanbe to Penjiket. So everywhere now the air condition. So that means it's a huge climatic impact. And am I able to be persuading my well-being? So those aspects or those interpretations are there, but it is not exclusively mentioned in all the human rights documents where you're talking about the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, or you can talk about the economic, social, cultural rights. They are not mentioned there. But that doesn't mean that it was not increasing into the right to life, right to liberty, right to equality, all those rights. So what happened is, in the last couple of decades, it has been seen, not in Europe, not in Asia, but it's in Africa, in Latin America, that more codification of environmental rights are being provided. It is obvious because those countries, those citizens, those communities who are depending on squarely on the nature, squarely on the, directly on the natural resources, natural system, natural ecosystems. So those countries try to develop those rights. So the codification has been a recent phenomena. It's just in a 15 to 20 years it has been started. So mostly in a way, like there is some regional treaties, and those regional treaties, like one is in Arab Charter in 2004, and one is African Charter, and one is in Southeast Asia Charter. So they have included this right to environment as one of the human rights in their charter. And many of the multilateral environmental negotiations, multilateral agreements, like a Paris Declaration, like your Aarhus conventions, so all those directly put the right to environment as one of the human rights, or as of the important rights for the development of human being. So maybe directly they are not saying human rights, but they have mentioned that without those regional treaties, without environment, without a sound, clean environment, so the right to life and health is not achievable. So many of the constitutions, so I think after 1972, more than 115 to 120 constitutions, including India, Kyrgyzstan, so have a provisions of right to clean environment in the provision of right to life, or there is a provision directly saying that right to life, right to clean environment, right to safe environment, right to sustainable environment is a right in the constitution. Or like India, Pakistan, and other countries, they are suggesting that right to environment comes under the right to life. In India, which is called Article 21, the Constitution of India, which has several times, more than 200 times for the last 30 years, have mentioned that right to clean environment is one of the human rights. So here, the judicial system, Supreme Court, High Court, local court, district court, they have been trying to interpret the existing constitutional laws to provide this right. And the Aarhus Convention, which is very important, and most of the Central Asian countries are member of the 1998 Aarhus Convention of the European Eastern Europe UN conference, UN ECE. So that is providing, I would say, because I'm not a lawyer, but most of the people are lawyer, I think. Anara is a lawyer. So this is a procedural a right. That means the Aarhus Convention is providing not directly that you have a right to clean air, clean water, a right to clean environment, but access to information, you have a right, and public participation, and access to justice. So all those are is a procedural rights to achieve the right to earth. This is very important, because before the Aarhus Convention, many of the decisions regarding a development of a hydropower, development of a forest, development of a road project in a very ecological sensitive zone, many people didn't know. But now, as most of the countries, it's a regional treaty agreement. Most of the countries in Central Asia are part of this Aarhus Convention. So here is the background of coming to the UN General Assembly's recent resolution, historic resolution. But also, as an environment, interested, my work is on environment mostly. So the first UN conference on human environment. So human and environment in 1972, the first principles, so which is mentioned there, and you can see that one. So I'll just quote, unquote. First, I'm trying to quote the principle one. Man has the fundamental right to freedom, equality, and adequate conditions of life in an environment of equality that permits a life of dignity and well-being. And he bears a solemn responsibility to protect, improve the environment for present and future generation. This is very close to as saying in the resolution of UNGA, United Nations General Assembly. Very close to directly suggesting that this is a human rights issue. This is right to the environment, but it is very close. Without equality, without adequate conditions of life, so one cannot achieve, or one cannot achieve its full competence. One cannot achieve its full, capacity. So anyone who is making a barrier to achieve such competence, to achieve such, full capacity, is a problem, is a violation. But in Stockholm Declaration, it was just mentioned, and Stockholm Declaration, Stockholm Summit was highly debatable because industrial countries were already industrialized, and they try to save the environment, but the developing countries are just beginning their development, and huge poverty. So if I don't cut a tree, if I don't mine, then poverty won't be reduced. That is what at that time developing countries leaders were spoken about in Stockholm Declaration. So one of the very famous comment was in Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister of India at that time. So she said that poverty is the worst polluter. So let's first fight poverty, then we'll talk about environment. So that was, now if we interpreting, so that was a very kind of at the present, at that time, the only solution for India. Anyway, so the next big environmental program or environmental conference or acceptance was the Earth Summit, Leo Declaration, completely avoided to touch upon anything related to human rights or environmental rights, because that's immediately after the Soviet dissolution. I say Soviet dissolution, not the collapse. So that political alignment was not very clear. So that is why Rio Summit was no, don't bring this one. But in 1995, there was a tremendous chance in the Commission of Human Rights to bring that right to secure, healthy, and ecological sound environment was completely refuted, completely refused to accept that one. So these are mostly the background of the genesis. So here, I think I have already touched upon that the African Charter has already talked about it. This is about the local, regional. If the global has failed, but the local has, or the regional has maintained that tempo, maintained that, push that we have to have, considering a right to healthy environment is a human right. So that comes from African Charter. So I'm not repeating that one. Arab Charter and also ASEAN Charter and Aras Convention I have mentioned. So now you see that in 1960s, before the Stockholm, there is only 1% of national constitution which are talking about the right to clean health and environment is a right. But now more than 70% of individual constitutions have deliberately put right to healthy environment. So now interesting is, let's recently happened so many cases which has provided wonderful examples, wonderful learning process, good practices. So that I can see some hand raised. Yes.
Я подняла руку. Здравствуйте, меня зовут Гульнура, Актубе, Казахстан. Меня слышно, да?
So I don't know Russian. So anyone can just help me to understand?
Ярослав, можете ему перевести, пожалуйста, как подключиться нижняя панель, если он слышит?
Кто подключается?
Avilash, can you see the Telegram message, please?
Okay, so I have to find the globe.
Теперь слышно, да?
Сейчас,
Sorry, just a minute.
секундочку, он разберется со своим подключением к переводу.
Why I can see the globe?
Может быть, Ярослав, в чат ему напишем, да? Oh, Avilash,
Да, он говорил про международную.
our translator will chat with you. Can you see the chat? So,
Что-то. Я хотела попросить, чтобы он поделился договорами международными, о которых он говорил, именно касаемо окружающей среды, именно защиты прав человека и какие права вообще прописаны при чрезвычайных ситуациях.
Гульнур, давайте я попробую быстренько ответить. И я знаю, тоже у нас есть коллеги, ну, пока Авилаш разбирается с переводом, коллеги здесь, которые действительно занимаются напрямую и долгое время. Вот как раз вашим вопросом, о чем вы спрашиваете, я все-таки думаю, что здесь важно в первую очередь смотреть на основные международные договоры в области прав человека, Международный биль о правах, начиная с декларации, Всеобщей декларации прав человека и двух пактов. Международный пакт о гражданских, политических и социально-экономических культурных правах. Также непосредственно очень важно обращать внимание на Орхусскую конвенцию и дополнительные документы ООН, которые устанавливают принципы ограничений прав человека. Это сиракузские принципы толкования ограничений гражданских, лимбургские принципы, маастрихтские принципы. Вот, по сути, там есть положения, которые касаются принципов ограничений прав и свобод человека в условиях чрезвычайного положения, военных действий или стихийных бедствий. Ну, мы вам предоставим, поэтому здесь на ваш вопрос ответ такой: после лекции сегодня мы направим вам требуемые документы.
Хорошо, спасибо. Именно касательно Казахстана. Спасибо.
Yes, Anara, and so now I can hear the translation. I found the globe. Okay, so let me walk you through, then I'll attend this questions, all those questions. Thank you.
Can I translate?
Yes, please. Please, please.
Are there examples in any countries of positive changes in the environmental sphere? How correct is the opinion that investment are in exchange for tariffs? So by paying a high tariff for our own benefit. We are not supporting companies that pollute the environment. So I think.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I got your question. So this the slides next is actually the examples which has been for last 3-4 years, and we can learn, we can understand to how things are moving in a very positive directions. Exactly your question is, if there are some pollutant companies are destroying the environment where we are surviving, our kids are surviving, our kids are depending on those water and all. So we can use this right to healthy environment as a document in the court, in the debates and discussions. But if your constitution is already accepting, like Kazakhstan, I don't know about, but Kyrgyzstan has a notion in the constitution that right to clean, healthy environment is a right. So that we can use. Okay, so let's see the few examples. So here in the United States, which is a very interesting case, they're the youth, and youth is teenage to 29, or you can add a little bit 14 or 13 to 32, you can say youth. We have already suffered. I mean, I'm not that old, but we have already faced the climate change problems. Now, so we have decision makers, hardly any youth, maybe women participations are there. So youth has not been properly represented in any decision making processes so far. And I can assure you, I can guarantee you that it's happening everywhere, not in India, everywhere. The youth as a major stake in a country, as a labor force, as an entrepreneur, as next generation citizens, governance, administrator, they have not been asked. So what happened is, in Montana, United States, in 2023, the court gave a very positive ruling that country, I mean the US or the state, must protect the right to a healthy environment for present and future generations. So the young kids, they filed a petitions and saying that we have a right, and in our constitution, Montana state constitution, they are providing there is a guarantee that right to clean and healthful environment is our right, but we are not receiving that due to the climate change, because the Montana state is inviting large fossil fuel companies, or allowing large fossil fuel, means petrol, coal, all those extracting, using, which has a contribution directly to the climate change. So now, I'm a young guy, I went to the court, I am saying that, listen, in my constitution, there is a guarantee that I supposed to get, or I have a guarantee to receive a clean and healthful environment, but I am not getting it because the country is depending on more fossil fuel. The country is allowing fossil fuel to be used more and more. So that is my violation. And the court has ruled in support of these young people. You see? So in the case of, hypothetically, I'm saying, if there are youth who, due to the flood, due to any climate change impacts happening in Kazakhstan or in Central Asia, in any countries now, so they can go to the court by saying, because nobody is listening to them. I mean, the political leadership is not listening to them. Climate change is just a photo, picture like young the boys and girls, they are protesting, saying that, I need my right to to clean air, I right to breathe, help me to breathe, help me to eat. I don't have food, I don't have trees, I don't have clean air. So who will provide that one? On the climate change discussion, that's enough, because that's the photo shot and people done. But now, so the young people, youth can go to anywhere or go against any harmful companies who are destroying the local environment, local ecology. So this is, I think, many of the lawyers, those who are practicing, so they can take this case if there are some litigation on the youth. Yeah. So this is very interesting for youth. So immediately to your question, the details can be seen into this aspect, and I can give you so many examples. I mean, not on the pretext or not on the concept of right to healthy environment, but I had been part of many such I say litigations or supporting the people or groups or communities against any harmful effect of environment. So this is a fantastic case, which is in 2023 last year. So next is, there is it's not coming. The next is a very interesting case. It should come. Yes. So this is a wonderful case, because some of the senior women, which is Kilma senior name in Switzerland, so they have been having a lot of problems. So I think all, not saying that the age groups, all the age groups are having problem with climate change, having problem with less water, having problem with heat wave. So this, the women group, around 2,400 older Swiss women, they are facing heat wave, in Europe. So if you recall, in Russia, in France, in UK, in 2010, there was a long heat wave. Many people died, if you recall, because I was here in one of the state, I think in Kyrgyzstan. So that was time. So heat wave, now it's in India. If you go, nobody should go now in India, because it's all 45 degrees in India. So it's a heat wave. Every Delhi and southern part of India, eastern part, I am from eastern part, but based in Delhi. So all those are heat wave. So now this is very interesting. So these women, they found that heat wave is restricting their freedom of life. They are restricting, they are violating their good quality family life. See, a good quality family life is also a human right, because I need to spend with my family. I need to take care of my family, or my family needs to take care of me if I am a senior citizen. So those are not being achieved due to the heat wave. And heat wave happened when the Switzerland government is not doing enough to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. If Switzerland is saying that we will cut 17% in next 5 to 10 years, 17% of our emission cut, but it is not happening. Heat wave is there, and we are suffering. So they went to the European Court of Human Rights, which is the international court, and they filed the case. And in the hearing, the international court said that yes, the Switzerland government must comply with a very significant reduction of fossil fuel, which is very significant amount of reduction of emission, so that it will contribute not to heat wave. So Switzerland government is culprit. So Switzerland government has to do more on reducing the emissions. You see, so this has given a lot of impetus, lot of a lot of force to general people, to general in nook and corner of anywhere in the country. So they are getting, this is very interesting one, because just in a heat wave people died. In my state, in 1998, 3,216 people died in 2 weeks in Orissa, in India. And I was there to, to save few young kids, but I could not save many people. So the heat wave is because of climate change, is because of greenhouse gas emission, is because of the countries which are going to reduce greenhouse gas emission is not enough. So that is why this is happening. And European Court said that, yeah, this has, the Swiss government is not doing enough. That means it's a very weak resolutions, weak place, weak promise that I will cut 17% of my greenhouse gas. That violated the fundamental human rights of this woman, of this Swiss woman, of the senior citizens. And in each country, the senior citizens, I say senior citizens, like the senior woman, people with a disability, if I say, people with disabilities are also suffering. So who will provide the safe, a good quality life, a good family life, and giving all the facilities to the people? And if the climate change is affecting my time of a good life, my time of, my ability to perform well, is a fundamental violations, is a violations of fundamental rights. So you see, this is Switzerland. Before that, we saw Montana. We will see in Latin America. But this has very, I would say, not earlier, so many cases will be fought like this, or so many petitions are being, or were being debated in the court like this. It can be a very indirect. What is heat wave? But those who suffered heat wave, they know how heat wave affect the people with a disability, people with senior citizens, senior people, and also the young kids, also the children's. So this is another example of leading towards how the environmental degradation, how not a clean environment is violating my fundamental rights, my human rights. So these are the cases. And another
Спасибо
case.
большое, Авилаш. Давайте здесь немножко прервемся, потому что у нас есть несколько вопросов.
Please. Please. Yeah.
Значит, вы перевод включили, да, себе, Авилаш? Вот вернемся.
Yes.
Вернемся к вопросу Мусагали. Значит, он касался того, коснется ли участь Аральского моря, Каспийского моря. Здесь сразу я отвечу, нам была предложена помощь от еще одного активиста, правозащитника из Туркменистана, Вячеслава Мамедова. Значит, у него есть помимо исследования конкретные предложения и прогнозы, с которыми мы поделимся. Вячеслав обещал прислать. И мы направим всем желающим, вы просто об этом сообщите в чат, чтобы не было спама, свои адреса электронной почты, можно в личку писать, и мы направим вам сегодня же. Так, как получим от Вячеслава. Второй вопрос касался... Так, сейчас, секундочку. Так, есть ли примеры в каких-либо странах положительных изменений в сфере экологии? Насколько правильно мнение, что инвестиции взамен на тариф? Вот тот вопрос, я не знаю, отвечен или нет. Тоже Мусагали повторил, потом Ерсултан.
На первый и на второй уже ответили вопросы.
Оплачивать тариф.
Да, Авилаш он ответил.
Мы не поддерживаем компаний, загрязняющих экологию. Так. Ну, здесь вот, наверное, тоже будет актуально добавить, что есть много разных международных инициатив, в том числе, которые работают с банками развития, да, так называемый мониторинг ситуации а, государств, банков разных уровней и банков развития, это и европейские, и азиатские, и другие. Даже проводятся международные консультации, можно тоже в этом участвовать, таким образом осуществляя международный или там региональный или национальный контроль за тем, куда идут, на что идут деньги и как это согласуется с правами человека, помимо права на здоровую окружающую среду. Так, следующий вопрос у нас есть от Алены Польских. Алена из Алматинской области, гражданская активистка. Вопрос такой. Как вы думаете, какой выход можно найти в случае обращения в суд по защите права причиненного, по защите права на возмещение вреда, видимо, да, здесь здоровью, если суд чаще всего лоббирует интересы госорганов и далее идет давление на заявителя, преследование, задержание, аресты? Еще один вопрос есть. Вот как вы хотите, Авилаш, на каждый по отдельности отвечать или все вопросы прослушаете и потом на все сразу ответите?
No, you give me. I'm just writing. I will answer. You give me all. Yeah.
Хорошо.
Any.
Так, значит, следующий вопрос от адвоката, от Ербола Аккожа. Какова ситуация с действительной независимостью судов в Индии? Возможно ли в Индии добиться справедливого и законного решения суда? В какие международные суды и организации можно обращаться гражданам Индии, если они так же, как и мы, не являются членами, тут, видимо, имелось в виду Совета Европы, для обращения в Европейский суд по правам человека? Так, следующий вопрос от Анны Андрейчук. Она из Караганды. Эко-музей организация называется, то есть это экологическая женщина-активистка, да. Здесь вопрос есть на английском языке. Вы можете сами, пожалуйста, прочитать в чате, или я могу тоже озвучить. Ну, в принципе, по сути, здесь речь о том, что благодарит за лекцию, рада участвовать, и что это напрямую связано с ее работой. Так. Сообщает о том, что есть, значит, такая организация, как «Зеленое спасение» в Казахстане, оставляет ссылку на их сайт и указывает, что «Зеленое спасение» были первыми, кто начали обращаться в суды по защите прав граждан на здоровую окружающую среду, и там достаточно много разного полезного материала распространено. Также, что коалиция нескольких организаций экологических готовит альтернативные доклады или теневые доклады по выполнению Казахстаном Орхусской конвенции. Ну, от себя я добавлю, что есть несколько решений уже, да, комитета в отношении Республики Казахстан, где Green Salvation или Зеленое спасение выиграли эти дела. Так, ну это, видимо, в порядке информации. Так, здесь есть Атайгуль Шакибаева, это тоже правозащитница, женщина, которая является специалистом в области защиты детей и лиц с инвалидностью. Она из Кустаная, насколько мне известно, задает вопрос. Могли бы вы, Авилаш, назвать лучшие практики международного опыта по поддержке лиц с инвалидностью в условиях изменения климата и чрезвычайных ситуаций? Какие есть механизмы мер реагирования? Вот, собственно говоря, эти вопросы. Давайте попытаемся на них ответить. Так, ну и еще, уважаемые эксперты, я знаю, что здесь среди нас много экологических активистов, и все ваши инициативы весьма и весьма важные. Более того, с другой стороны, знаю, что сейчас очень много доноров международных, кто поддерживает разные проекты в сфере или в связи с экологическими вопросами и дают хорошие гранты. Хорошие с точки зрения того, чтобы можно было бы продвигать вот это право на здоровую окружающую среду. Поэтому все ваши вопросы, конечно, важны. И вы тоже можете давать свою экспертизу наряду с Авилашем, потому что это публичная лекция. Пожалуйста, помогайте, потому что каждый из вас в своей сфере может рассказать вкратце о том кейсе, который вы вели, или как ваша адвокация повлияла, и так далее, и так далее. Спасибо.
Yeah, thank you very much. So wonderful questions and also wonderful comments. The Green Salvation, I think I know. So they have done wonderful work, and thank you for sharing the informations. And I go actually I can share with you. I mean, the best practices of people with disability in facing emergencies. So I have contributed in Orissa is a policy on which, how, when you want to respond to the people with disability. So the process is there when there is a cyclone, when there is a flood, when there is a heat wave. So all that are being separately targeting to means focusing on the people with disability. So those who are more vulnerable to or more exposed to a emergency, a flood will have a different impact to different people than a heat wave. And among the vulnerable groups, the women, people with disability, and senior people and the babies, they are the first kind of rescue. And second is, then there is a category of who get the first rescue or reference. I'll get that one, Anara. So I will definitely share with you and explain more. And I have recently write upon on this people with a disability, how to improve the situation. I'll definitely share with you. Thank you. On Indian case, India doesn't want to go to the European human rights. India has a very strong Supreme Court, and they have a very specific environment court. It's called National Green Tribunal, NGT, in 2010. Anyone in India, doesn't matter to have a prosecutor or to have a representation, you just write through email. So the court will take on its own course if there is an environmental violations. So there is a special act and a special court is there. In the Supreme Court, which is the apex court in India, a simple citizen can write in a postcard, which is called PIL. People's interest litigation. So public litigation. You just write in the postcard and it will reach to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will take suo moto in its case. So generally the Constitution of India, Article 21, and which is a fundamental right to life. So Supreme Court has more than 100 and high courts and all have responded to the environmental violation within the right to life. So they don't have very clear explicitly mentioning about right to clean environment is a fundamental right, but they have put all together into Article 21, right to life. So in 1984, in 1991, in 1995, so several cases, they have provided that access to drinking water is a fundamental right, is a fundamental derivative right, access to drinking water. So clean air is a fundamental right under the right to life. So a forest, a river, so all are now being protected under the Supreme Court. So India has, I mean, but there are also problems in India. So a lot of mining is going on, a lot of forest is being destroyed, a lot of animals are being gone. But still, there is the option for a common citizen to access to justice, to go to the court and to file a case. And regarding this question about how in Almaty, from Almaty, Alena, so it is always there, because if the constitution provides a very strong, stringent provision related to that, this is a fundamental right, this is a fundamental human right, that your the right to life, right to environment, right to safe drinking water, right to natural resources should not be violated, then I think we can proceed. But in the court cases, always the citizen which is having no financial power, no good support system from the legal luminaries, legal communities, so it is very difficult to fight a case. So I have been part of extending support to the communities where there has been violated their rights. So some of the cases, the people who filed the cases, they own, but some of the cases they didn't, because there is always, who has the more influencing power. It depends on if the judiciary system is highly independent, like back in India, it's completely independent, and they have been very kind to the common people. So they are accepting several cases. So this always been there, and thanks to many environmental campaigners, activists, including you or the lawyers, they have been trying their best to get the better ecology. So I think it's there every countries and everywhere. And on the Caspian Sea, I think I have relatively mentioned, and some of the global institutions, EBRD, ADB, and World Bank, they have kind of safeguard policies, it's called, and I have been part of 12 years in those. So a common man can access to those safeguard policies, can raise questions that if there is a violation, environmental violation, if there is an indigenous people violation, if there is a physical entitlements violation, if there is a land violation. So all violations can be asked to those international institutions. You need not go to the court. So here they have mechanism, they have space where you can access to the remedies. There has been several positive remedies. In Kazakhstan also there is a positive remedies from the Asian Development Bank around 2011 and 12. There was a road project, and so the communities has proposed that this road project is very difficult when the cattle cannot pass. So the ADB has prepared the road a bit of change and allows cattle to pass through it. So there are certain cases. Yeah. So let me quickly finish 2-3 slides before we jump into more discussion. So this is Inter-American Court of Human Rights, which is more progressive and which is taking more and more cases related to the pollutions, related to the mining, related to the children's death from the mining and pollution. So this is very interesting. See, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights Court. I'm not talking about any other, courts. They have made responsible the Peruvian government that there is a town which is La Oroya. So this town, there are mining is going on. So what happened is the government has sourced a study in 2005. 99%, almost 100%, you can see. children under 6 years old who are tested had high lead levels in their blood. This is very dangerous. So that was 2005. But you see the verdict came in 2024 about that the mining companies is responsible and the government is also responsible because they are allowing this harm to the children, to the citizen, to that town. And there are death cases also. So this is a very positive case in Peru. So how many people you see? I mean, it is always better to bring like-minded people to go to for a redressal mechanism, whether it is court or whether it is Asian Development Bank or World Bank or EBRD, or to the individual countries mechanism. So 80 residents, 57 of which are children. You saw Montana, youth. Here you see 57 kids. And also there you see the senior citizens. It's not the usual, the complainants. These are all various stakeholders, and they are bringing change with the help of international court. Some of them are national courts, some of them are judicial court. I mean, like the district level court, they are giving this one. So if a mining, I mean, this is now example. I mean, I know I'm not a lawyer, but I know when the lawyers argued, they can provide examples of other countries. And there is a term which I don't know, maybe all of you, those who are lawyers here, so must be knowing. So they provide certain, examples so that the judge can understand and can see if there is a common understanding of international legal reason, international environment reason, then judge also interpret in a very positive manner. So this is one of the case. I think I have another 2-3 slides probably. Let me quickly go.
Спасибо, Авилаш. Здесь есть еще один вопрос, так как мы уже у нас 20 минут до завершения осталось, давайте удовлетворим наших участников в части ответов. Здесь есть такой вопрос от Айгерим Тлеубай.
Yes,
Значит, это экологическая и арт-активистка. У них много разных инициатив. Сегодня они работают по озеру Балхаш. Надеемся, вам знакомо. Тоже разные проблемы в связи с этим озером. Вот вопрос такой. Могли бы вы назвать лучшие практики, международный опыт по поддержке... Так, это... Нет, это... Было так. Какие кейсы есть в вашей практике, когда экологические и климатические эксперты объединялись с художниками или художницами? Так, вот этот вопрос. И в дополнение к тому, что вы говорили, хочу напомнить, что вот Мусагали Дауилов еще в марте поделился текстом заключительных замечаний Комитета ООН по правам инвалидов Республики Казахстан. Наша страна отчитывалась с докладом о соблюдении требований Конвенции о правах инвалидов 4-5 марта. Заслушивался в этом году доклад Казахстана. Значит, здесь есть одна рекомендация такая: установить правила и процессы для выявления и оценки правовых экологических барьеров для лиц с ограниченными возможностями на основе требований, воли и предпочтений людей с ограниченными возможностями, предоставить инвалидам доступную информацию о таких оценках и обеспечить, чтобы организации лиц с инвалидностью, с ограниченными возможностями участвовали в их мониторинге. К сожалению, больше никаких рекомендаций в тексте заключительных замечаний Комитета по правам инвалидов Казахстану нет, которые были бы связаны с правом на здоровую окружающую среду. Но я уверена, что наши сегодняшние слушатели, участники, эксперты прекрасно поняли, что в вашем резюме из ответов, да, можно сделать вывод, что право на жизнь, помимо этого, право на здоровую окружающую среду связано с правом на здоровье, жизненный уровень, различному доступу, в том числе и к доступу к правосудию. И это все может быть учтено, точнее, в судебных разных делах. Еще что можно сделать в качестве резюме, это то, что в Индии существует специальный суд, тоже создание которого можно добиваться и в Казахстане, поскольку речь идет о праве на эффективные средства правовой защиты, в том числе через право на жизнь и так далее, и так далее. Поэтому вам большое спасибо. Если вы знаете какой-то адвокационный опыт коллаборации с экологов, с художниками, можете привести примеры сейчас.
Yeah, thank you. There are so many collaborations are happening. I think in Philippines and Washington and some of the European countries. So the artists, the writers, they publish 2 books now during the conference of parties of climate change, COP meetings. So they produced the local poetry, which is linked to the climate change and all. So many of scholars, many of writers in India also, they are producing climate change collaborative acts. So in the quote, I may not be aware of, but I'm sure there has to be support from this. But to build up the awareness, to build up the solidarity, so yes, there are collaborations, and it will be very interesting. It will be very good. So in different walks of life, people can come together and amplify those issues. So the people who take the decisions will hear it more clearly. So that is possible. Yeah. Okay. And I think those are all suggestions and follow-up. Kazakhstan, if there is a procedure already established for the rules procedure for PWD, people with a disability, fantastic. So that is what I wanted to share with you, because that's a procedure and follow-up needs to establish for flood, for heat wave, for other emergencies. Each one is different. So there should be a generic proposal and guidelines. Then from that general guidelines to specific emergencies, flood, heat wave, and you have to first identify who are the PWDs in those areas, in those hazardous zone. You must have a documentation. Like you must have a documentation of kids, you must have a documentation of pregnant women, you must have a documents of a single senior citizens who are residing in the zone area, so that your rescue, rehabilitation, and response operation has to be proper and timely. So that's what I think. Okay. So quickly, I think we will run out of time. So let me finish. Oh, sorry. No, it's gone, I think, back. Sorry. Yes. So this is the children's right. I think some of the questions were there. How to protect the children's right. I think the UN Committee on Rights of the Child, they have issued a guidelines recently, and they have changed this 89 treaty, which most of the countries are member. So the guidelines are now focusing on the climate change impact on the kids. So the children's rights are now more emphasized in most of the international agreements forthcoming, and the countries which have already agreed to the UN Committee on the Rights of Child, please find out. I think most of the countries are part of this committee, UN Committee on the Rights of Child. So they have to follow that children's right, including to life, health, clean drinking water, and survival and development. So you see, the including life, I mentioned that kids are staying near to the landfill, near to the forest fire, near to the all the emergencies, let's consider in Central Asia, they have to be treated differently because they have a right now. So it's a comprehensive, sort of guidelines which each country has to follow because that's the state obligation. And I know the lawyers who are here, they understand the state obligations because that's what the right is. Because state has to provide, because state has an obligation to provide or to secure those rights to individual citizens, to hear his children. So it's specifically saying that the states are responsible not only for protecting children's rights from immediate harm, but also for foreseeable violation of their rights in the future due to action or inaction today. It's a huge change, but the only problem it is not legally binding or, most of the UN cases. But it has given a trend, it has given a concept, it has given a idea that don't just protect now, but protect them, their rights in the future. And also what you do today, or what you means the government or the states, the countries, what you want to do in the next 15-20 years, if there is an impact on the children, that has to be stopped. So it's a very interesting long-term academic lawyers interpretation and also a policy guidelines. So now the state can take and include in their constitutions and in their laws or regulations. So that is the guidelines. The next slide. Yes. So in Australia, it has not yet been approved, but it's a very interesting one. There is a last year, so the government proposed the Human Rights Amendment Bill, and it takes a long time because Australia is followed by this British Parliament, like few in India. So the amendment was passed, but it has to be taken lots of public opinion, which is very good. So you see the Aarhus Convention. So public participation is very important ingredient. One column is public participation in decision making. So public should be allowed to comment before you take a decision. So that is what is now. So that bill has been tabled in the Parliament, Australian Parliament, and then it has been gone to some of the ministries. They have given very positive feedback, but I think it is after 2-3 months it will be approved. So what is that? It also discusses about the impacts of climate change, right? To also the future generation. So it said that healthy environment included clean air, safe climate. You see? So who will decide what is the safe climate? So who will decide what is the clean air? Who decides access to safe drinking water? Who decides a accessible, affordable health system or a sustainably produced food? So all has to be in a different manner. It is no more like government decides, community decides, I oppose, they support. It has to be work together. That's one idea which I will float later on. So this bill is very important. So that is why I wanted to share, because this kind of activities can be pursued, can be asked in specific countries and governments. Can you initiate all those things? So that is what I wanted to share. And there are so many other examples, but it is not directly linked to right to healthy environment, but it is an indirect link. So the first case is there is a Netherlands, same with Switzerland, that Dutch companies is not working well. They are not doing the emission reduction, and that is why the government is responsible. So government, climate change, government inaction is a problem. That is what this case is. So now we can go to the judicial system and suggesting that there is a government which is saying that I caught this one in my NDC, national, my contributions, national determined contribution is I can do this one, 50% greenhouse gas emissions cut. But who decides? Is it helpful? No, it is not helpful. So the court interprets. No, you have to scale up your emission cut. So that is one case in Netherlands. So I think 900 people and one group. So they have just suggested and filed a case, and it was very successful. Nigeria, the Ogoni people, they are still fighting against the harmful oil exploitation in their land by taking the feeder from the African Human Charter of 1981. So 1981, they're still using and protecting their land and their culture, societies, all those. So Brazilian government has also said that Brazil government is not doing enough to reduce the decreasing area of Amazon forest, which is very helpful. Amazon forest is very helpful to climate change, but Brazilian government is not doing enough. So Brazilian government is responsible for climate change. That is 2022. So India also last I read here. So Indian government Supreme Court is also suggesting that climate change is very important in the Article 21, right to life and equality, that is in the Constitution. I'll just take one moment to saying the equality. See, the point here is in Indian Constitution of India, right to protect my culture, minority culture, my right to protect my cultural aspirations is a fundamental right. So now, if there is a sea level rise, so there is an island called Nicobar Island, there is an island called Lakshadweep in India. So if there is a flood, I'm okay. I mean, in my state, I will survive. But in those islands, they will be submerged. So their cultural part will be gone. So the climate is not affecting equally to me and the indigenous people. So equality also, you have to look into that one, right to life and equality according to the Constitution of India. So that has to be looked into the climate change. And this is very interesting. I read here, I didn't know what's happening there in India, but it is a very interesting and very progressive ruling. In US, New York State has passed a constitutional amendment by guaranteeing citizens a right to a healthful environment. See, the Constitution is also amended to bringing this new law, to giving more power to the citizens. And it is important because you have to save the environment, otherwise all gone. So nobody will be here. I am not here to present or you are not here to listen. So environment is very important. So this is the last slide. What I want to see with this ruling, as I said, it is not legally binding, the United General Assembly ruling, but it will have a trickle-down impact of many countries, many district courts, many regional agreements will follow this one. Example is UN Human Rights Council already agreed that a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment is a human right, and many more. You see the Australia, the US, India, so they are following with this resolution. So more importantly, this is a recognition of the heroes, all of you, those who are defending environment. Maybe people don't know, because that's why you are on the backside. You are in the back, area. You are trying to protect the environment. So the environment defenders, campaigners, activists, they are now recognized under this, because what many people were thinking that if I protect an environment, it is wrong that I am disturbing the development of a country. No. So now this resolution is providing that you can protest against more dirty projects, which is called ecologically destructive, projects and policies that we can fight. As a citizen, we draw this inspiration from the United General Assembly resolution. This is my interpretation is how we can work, because it encourages a co-protection, co-conservation, co-preservation, co-management of ecosphere. That means it's not only the government's obligation, government's duties to protect. It is us with government, with others. Let's work together to protect the environment, to manage the environment, and to preserve the environment for the future, to future generation. And my understanding is that now the Paris Agreement, Climate Agreement 2015, and the Sustainable Development Goals and the Sendai Framework, which is for the emergency, that will be probably now accelerate. Means, I don't know whether it will be achievable or not, but I think it will be accelerated now to achieve to considerable amount of targets by 2030. So this is, I'm very happy with the resolution. This is the beginning. There will be more and more conceptual clarity. What is a healthy environment? What is a green environment? What is a safe environment? What is the sustainable environment? So the academics and others will jump in with the legal expertise will jump in to sharpen, to fine tune those words in the near future. So I'm very positive and happy with this one. So that's, thank you very much. And it was a great honor to discuss with you and present you. So these are my email IDs. So anyone, if you can drop me an email, so please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions?
Спасибо большое, Авилаш. Ваше время, прям вот вы вовремя закончили, тоже за вашу пунктуальность. Также хочу, пока не забыла, сразу поблагодарить за перевод Ярослава Штырбу. Сегодня у нас было больше, чем 80 участников. Из них, вот здесь, внимание, где-то 62 точно. Я вот здесь посчитала, пока Авилаш заканчивал. 62 человека, это были женщины. То есть, о чем я хочу сказать, участие женщин, девочек, да, вот как раз в этих процессах оно немаловажно, и сегодняшний тоже наш с вами ивент, публичная лекция доктора Авилаша Роул, она как раз тоже показывает в том, что интерес больше проявляют женщины, девочки. Также я благодарю всех коллег-партнеров, кто сегодня подключался, поддержал. И я очень надеюсь, что вы распространите ссылочку, значит, на запись. Мы выложим до 10 мая. Вот прошу прощения сразу, что это будет такой срок, но помощник, который этим занимается, у нас сейчас в отпуске. И до 10 мая мы выложим ссылочку на перевод на русском языке этой лекции, чтобы вы могли делиться, да. Теперь есть несколько, наверное, дополнений в завершении. Я прошу прощения у Ярослава, но попрошу, чтобы вы меня перевели, пожалуйста. Значит, первое, я уже сказала об участии женщин и девочек в этих процессах. Второе, что в сентябре 2015 года стал доступным текст доклада по результатам визита в Казахстан, доклад специального докладчика Башкута Тунчака. Он был в Астане, в Алматы, в Атырау, в Усть-Каменогорске, в Караганде в период с 26 марта по 8 апреля 2015 года. И важно тоже проводить мониторинг соблюдения или исполнения вот этих рекомендаций, которые были даны в докладе, потому что их актуальность не утрачена на сегодняшний день, она наоборот больше и больше продолжает, значит, набирать обороты. Очень важно, что, как бы, чтобы закрепить сегодняшнюю лекцию, в качестве инструментов использовать обращение в Орхусский комитет за защитой права на здоровую окружающую среду. Также Что можно сделать уже сейчас? Вот как раз есть возможность до июля текущего года направить свои рекомендации в Совет ООН по правам человека в рамках такой отчетности, как универсальный периодический обзор или УПО, вы знаете, да, который охватывает, значит, все страны, члены ООН, и имеет в своем перечне буквально все права, в том числе право на здоровую окружающую среду. На сегодня Казахстан подает, уже в этом году будет рассматриваться очередной 4-й доклад в рамках УПО. И вот если вы посмотрите, опубликован в 2019 году был последний, да, и вот эти процедуры, они актуальны, так что, пожалуйста, время еще не ушло, участвуйте в этих процедурах. Можно также участвовать в консультациях со специальными докладчиками. Например, вот 6 марта в 2024 году Казахстан посетил с неофициальным визитом, но для консультации именно с гражданским обществом, спецдокладчик по вопросу о защитниках окружающей среды. Это новая такая должность, да, в ООН в рамках специальных процедур Совета по правам человека. И на сегодняшний день эту позицию занимает Мишель Форст. Он ранее был спецдокладчиком по положению правозащитников, а сейчас специализирована с фокусом на защитников экологических прав или защитников окружающей среды в рамках Орхусской конвенции. Вот он провел консультации с правозащитниками и экологическими активистами, кто подвергается угрозам за свою деятельность по странам Центральной Азии. Участвовали правозащитники, экологические активисты из Казахстана, Кыргызстана, Таджикистана и Туркменистана. То есть можно работать с ним, пожалуйста, да. Не забывайте, что эти спецдокладчики также принимают сообщения. Так, тут включили у нас звук кто-то. Ну и спасибо большое всем за сегодняшнее участие, за вашу активность. Я очень надеюсь, что эта лекция не пройдет зря, и вы сегодня хотя бы получили какую-то новую информацию, могли поделиться там своей, если кто-то желал. Я вижу, что сегодня у нас были участники не только из Казахстана, но тоже из других стран. Например, такие эксперты, как Вячеслав Мамедов, да, и Вячеслав, мы ждем ваш материал для распространения другим. Пожалуйста, не забудьте, пришлите, и мы поделимся с нашими коллегами. Всем большое спасибо. Еще раз доктор Авилаш Роул был с нами сегодня, провел волонтерскую лекцию, он не получает за это оплату, пожалуйста, имейте в виду. Поэтому Авилаш, как эксперт по Центральной Азии, тоже можно получать у него консультации, он всегда с радостью отвечает на все вопросы. Кстати, он очень любит вопросы, задавайте ему, связывайтесь, я уверена, что он ответит. Спасибо, до свидания.
Thank you very much.